Namas and welcome everyone. It's Deborah, Katja, Martina, and Katerina back as your host of the SANAT Kumara's Ambassador of Light podcast for 2026. Martina, could you please introduce today's topic? It's all about shifts, global shifts.
Yes. Welcome everyone from my side as well. The SANAT Kumara has asked us to talk about the shifts that are going on in our daily lives that we see with our eyes, but that we need to understand better in order to make sense of it instead of fighting it. Means, Earth, everybody knows now, Earth has shifted from the third to and through the fifth dimension. So that means the frequency, the vibration, and the energies of the whole planet has shifted, and with that, the interactions between continents and oceans. And what does that mean for our daily lives when we see that all happening and not become afraid or retreat to all tricks that we think work, like fighting or competing? How do we sensibly handle this situation?
What knowledge do we already have about this when it comes to adapting our daily lives?
There are two big things going on. The first thing is we have a hemisphere shift that crosses over society, business, finance, the way we deal with each other, even climate. And we have a shift from the west to the east and from the northern to the southern hemisphere. And secondly, that goes hand in hand with climate and natural habitat shifts. Let me give you a specific example that most of us can relate to. We have huge demographic changes in the Western economies that do fairly well. People like me, above the age of 60, are overproportional in numbers. That we hear sometimes, yes, that is already very fine. Korea and Japan, also China has problems. Western Europe has a problem. The United States will get that problem in 5 to 10 years, where simply there's an imbalance. But we also have an imbalance the other way around. For example, the continent of Africa, currently 1.58 billion people. 60% of the inhabitants of Africa are age 24 and below. So what does that tell us? The new will come from this continent.
So these numbers have spiritual meanings, spiritual shift meanings too.
And if you look at that, if you combine that with power, who currently holds military and economic power? The countries where the population is older, or where in the age of 60 and above outnumber the ones who get born. So the population is in fact declining.
So we've been talking before about the spiritual purpose of certain countries. This should be very interesting. For example, about the United States, their purpose. What is their purpose?
In spiritual literature, there has always been lists of the soul and the ego of a country in the so-called race structure. What is the purpose of a country? For example, the sole purpose of the United States was always to spread love, and the ego is to seek dominance over others. Funnily enough, I think at the moment we can relate to that.
Yeah.
But I like that we also were discussing about how in the United States we connect with the land. That to me seems very important, to be connected with nature and receive from nature also.
If you look at North America as a whole, you can see that moving forward, the purpose is that people who live there reconnect with the land.
Mm.
And from that reconnection, then spread love and harmony.
Exactly. So to me, that's in our daily lives in a practical way is how we can understand these shifts more, is connecting with the land, connecting with nature. Because we will receive harmony through nature. I do feel that. Mm.
Yes. And if you look at, especially at the Western industrial nations, we do the opposite of that. Those who are waking up now, they leave the big cities and they say, why don't we just buy a farm and reconnect with the land? But the overall mentality is that the land is your mother. That is what nurtures you.
Yeah.
Mother
AMAYA
Earth.
is your mother.
Not your balance sheet or your exports or
Mm.
Yes. So your daily life requires that connection.
And how about other countries? Do you have other up-to-date examples?
I have another example that is Europe. If you look at the history of Europe, or take Germany, for example, Germany is only one country or a country not so long ago. It was more than 300 little places and landlords who were fighting each other, who managed to form unity. Same happened from Aachen throughout the European continent through Emperor Charlemagne bringing the Franks and the Germans together, the Germanic tribes. And Europe's role going into the future is learning more deeply about unity and then helping the other continents to use that concept.
Interesting again.
And
Whereas-
it's something, as someone who is relatively new to Europe, I'm originally from Russia, but I've been living in Ireland for the past 18 years at this stage, and I've noticed a huge shift in number of expats living here on a small island. And we're only talking about overall population of 8 million between the Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland. And if I was very unique and very exotic here 15 years back, it's very normal to be not from here, and it's very normal to be accepted. And I keep admiring people for asking me about my cultural background. And I do feel that in recent years, people are way less defensive about me being from a very different place and bringing a very different culture code. However, there is still so much more that has to happen here. And Europe ethnicities are changing in our eyes. And I believe that it's everyone's everyday task almost to be acceptable of other people and just of expressing unity, no matter who you meet on your path, and be respectful, not from your ethical background, but from your courage, and just with your every action, try to unite yourself with whoever you're surrounded with.
That is one of the biggest challenge we will face, is to agree to disagree on many things, and then still ask what is the common purpose we need to agree on. If we can agree on a common purpose and all work for a common purpose, things will work out. If everybody says, let's agree to disagree, and all follow their personal agendas, that will not work out. So you have to find a bigger overall reason why you unite.
Well, and I think there is no better reason to unite these days as to pay attention to our Mother Earth, AMAYA. That's something that we all have in common. I quite like the old saying at this stage that there is no planet B. We are here, and again, with our little everyday actions, we can make a change. And I remember we had this conversation internally in Namas University team maybe a year back, when we all connected to our souls and we asked how we individually can change. And someone did get guidance to pay more attention to plastic package. Someone did get a message to communicate more with the trees, and so on and so forth. So I think the big change is actually in our small actions that we can start today.
Yes, and the first small action we do every day is connecting with our soul to receive from the divine feminine, because Amaya too is a representation of the divine feminine. So she has the divine plan as she reflects the divine. So it's very simple for all our ambassadors of light to help unite, and to wherever they are, even if they are in Australia, in Asia, in the Americas, wherever they are, they connect with their souls and they know what to do. Yeah. They know what to contribute, even to the oceans, because the oceans are changing a lot these days too, right? Katya, we're doing energy work with the oceans, with new great beings that are coming up. These are collective consciousness, which are now emerging from the oceans. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there are many ambassadors of light who are also, whose purpose may be to work with these beings that are here now to recreate the oceans with us.
Yeah, and there was a major shift in the way how we perceive collective consciousness, and it's a great gift for us to be able to communicate with them again. And so please don't be surprised if all of a sudden you hear something that you were not able to hear before. I feel that as of recently, every time when I am even standing in front of the sea, and thank you thank you to the beautiful island of Ireland. There is so much love coming from the sea. You can talk to the water around you, and it's also a huge shift and a gift.
Right, and that's what is needed, the talking to nature. The oceans, all beings in the oceans are part of nature. It's not what you think will help the oceans. It's not what you think will help nature. It's only what nature and the oceans guide us to that will help our planet, save the planet. So it's a must. It's a must to connect with nature and to talk with nature, or first to listen to nature.
Yeah. And just to add to this, I guess in our energy work with the oceans, what surprised me the most, which I was not aware of, as a human being, that oceans and ocean creatures, they experience exactly the same shift into 5D as ourselves, and they also have to adjust, and they also have to develop new qualities. So every time when we think that there is a lot of uncertainty, it's not clear what's coming next, we're not alone. That's actually something that is experienced across all the kingdoms. However, I assume they have more intuitive powers. I don't know, Deborah, have you noticed any changes in the way how you connect with nature?
Yes, I have. And I know that it's a connection that's important for us to learn from them, but they're also learning from us in this process, I do feel. So the differences are just very subtle sometimes, and other times they just come out quickly for me, and I'm just blown away if I'm painting something from nature. So just to be in that frequency on a daily basis, along with our soul's guidance, allowing us to go where we need to be for that day, either within our own self or outside with AMAYA. We're going to learn from one another with our nature beings in the ocean, on the land, and we're going to create together with them. So that connection is vital to me on a daily basis.
Deborah and maybe Martina, would you have an advice how we can create as smooth as possible transition for Mother Nature?
If we start from the perception that all what we see in nature is alive, an example I haven't mentioned before, the continent of Australia houses a great being in Ayers Rock. And Ayers Rock is the main node of connection to major rock formations around the world. These beings are reconnecting to help Mother Earth. Another major rock formation that belongs to that system is Suma Rock, that is close to the capital city of Nigeria. So just imagine you're not going on a holiday to see a rock. You are going to a place to connect with a major being. Ask that being what you can do. As Deborah steps out and talks to the trees and asks, what can I do today? You've done energy work or your continuous energy work with the oceans, the beings that are coming to Earth currently to help revitalize the oceans to a degree that is healthy, they weren't known before.
Yeah, there are new beings coming in.
So
through
we
this energy.
just imagine how many people who really want to clean our oceans and who've set up organizations, and there's volunteers work, and they collect trash and plastic and whatnot. Still, with countries where people are poorer, their only way to get rid of the waste is to dump it into the ocean. That dumping new trash is far bigger than at the moment we can accelerate cleaning. So if my heart is in cleaning an ocean, it should be my desire to connect with these beings and say, what shall I do to make this more efficient?
That's a beautiful
Right. Yeah, that's the missing link to being
It is
helpful.
not even in the oceans, but throughout nature itself, everywhere. What can I do?
Just step out of your home and talk to the next tree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
stay inside and talk to plant inside.
Yes, you could do that.
Live in Ireland, the ocean, I presume, is not far. Step to the ocean floor. Touch the water with the palms of your hands, feel it, and ask, what can I do?
And listen and receive.
And if you spin that further and see, for example, how you currently spend your free time, what do? Do you talk to nature or go to the cinema or buy new stuff? And that shift alone, like buying less, defining ourselves less about what we own, but what we actually do, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. And I think that everyone can start where they are. So whatever you do for profession, ask what you can change today.
Yes, the trip to nature. If you want to go on a vacation, to me has always been the most important thing is to be outside in nature.
Mhm.
So a trip to Zuma Rock would be very interesting. I'd love that.
As a company, you have brainstormings on how to improve things or find a new strategy. Well, move them outside the office building, move them
Yeah.
woods.
And just have a vision, Martina, of well, having a team meeting with AMAYA, with Mother Earth. So, Mother Earth, please, let's, well, come up with some ideas. We listen. We're receiving from you. Please help us change.
Just imagine the board of directors of a company is summoned by Mother Nature to report.
I'm imagining that. I'm seeing groups of people from all over going out into nature to have a meeting. Yes.
Well, so far, Mother Nature has written her bills, her invoices to all corporate landscape, but she wants to talk and wants to speak with the corporate world how to change.
Making money is of no relevance for the planet that gives us life. It is irrelevant for creating healthy air. It's about what we have to stop doing, first and foremost. I mean, if we go to a supermarket with open eyes, the vast majority of everything we can buy there is packaged food. There's very little fresh food.
Yeah. But the vision for this planet has been broadcast to this planet. So it's just a matter of how many people, how quickly do they connect with their soul to listen.
If we, dear listeners, viewers from wherever you are, can ask you just today and tomorrow and the days after, step out and start talking to nature. Understand what is your cities, your countries, your continents part in the change, how you can be part of that change. You don't need to be an energy worker. Sensitive for what is going on around you and not fighting it, but going with it would be wonderful.
Yes.
So, Martina, I think this has been a very nice ending for today. We'll have many more topics to talk about next time. Are there any announcements you would like to make?
Well, I think it would be time that we pay some attention to Asia, what's going on there.
Mm.
Currently, 52% of all people who live on this planet live in Asia. That says a lot. If you would add the population of Africa to it, it says even more. So what does that tell us? And what does the continent of Asia, northern, southern, southeastern, what is going on there? What can we expect from them as a contribution to the change?
I'm looking forward to hearing more from you and from the SANAT Kumara. So, thank you very much, my dear friends, dear ladies. Thank you, dear listeners, ambassadors of light. We're looking forward to seeing you next time in a fortnight. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.